On paper, this looks simple. At the 2026 U.S. Figure Skating Championships, Madison Chock and Evan Bates win again. A 7th national title, 5th in a row. A U.S. record no ice dance team had ever reached before. That is the news. But if you actually watched what they skated that night, you know the headline does not come close to telling the real story. Because this did not look like a team defending a legacy. It looked like a team blowing one up on purpose. They did not come out cautious. They did not skate like veterans trying to survive one last Olympic season. They did not look interested in doing what already worked. They came out with a brand new routine that felt loud, aggressive, and almost confrontational. And that is what makes this moment matter. Because this is an Olympic season. Not just any Olympic season. The last one. The 2026 Winter Olympics are months away. Chock and Bates are in their mid-30s. They are already 3-time defending world champions. They have already stood on the biggest stages this sport has to offer. At this point in a career, most teams shrink risk. They refine what is familiar. They polish what judges already reward. They skate like there is something fragile to protect. Chock and Bates did the opposite. Their rhythm dance hits like a rock concert on ice. A swagger-heavy 90s Lenny Kravitz medley. It does not politely fit into the theme. It takes it over. The body language is sharp. The edges are aggressive. It does not feel like ice dance elegance. It feels like a performance daring the judges to keep up. Then comes the free dance. Flamenco-inspired, dark, coiled with tension, long lines mixed with off-axis lifts and positions that look physically demanding even for younger teams. It is not designed to quietly collect points. It is designed to make people uncomfortable, in a good way. And the judges felt it. They did not just win at nationals. They won decisively. It was enough to make it clear this was not a gimmick or a one-weekend experiment. This was the direction. This was the statement. Which brings us to the real question. Why now? Why would a team this successful, this established, this close to the end of their competitive careers decide to reinvent themselves completely? Why take creative risks when you're already on top? Why skate like you have nothing to lose? That's the same question people asked when Elisa Liu walked away from skating at 16. And it's the same kind of answer. This isn't about chasing one more medal. It's about control. About choosing how your career ends instead of letting age, expectation, or momentum decide for you. Because when you look closely at this routine, what you're really seeing isn't choreography. You're seeing intent. Two skaters who know exactly where they are in their story. They are refusing to let the final chapter be safe, predictable, or forgettable. To understand how they got here, why this reinvention feels deliberate instead of desperate, you have to rewind. Back before the records. Back before the world titles. Back to a time when Madison Chock and Evan Bates weren't inevitable at all, and simply surviving long enough to reach this moment was anything but guaranteed. The reason this reinvention feels earned is simple. Madison Chock and Evan Bates were never supposed to last this long. Ice dance isn't built for careers that stretch across generations. Most teams burn bright for one Olympic cycle, maybe two if everything goes right. Partnerships change, bodies wear down, judges move on. The sport quietly encourages you to peak young and get out. But Chock and Bates didn't follow that arc. They teamed up back in 2011. Talented, yes, but not anointed. US ice dance already had its chosen stars. They weren't the future, they were the long shot. Good enough to matter, never quite loud enough to dominate the conversation. So they stayed. They skated through years where the results were solid but unspectacular. Seasons where they were always close to world medals, close to breakthroughs, but never the story everyone wanted to tell. They changed coaches, reset programs, took criticism that would have ended most partnerships. In a sport obsessed with momentum, they chose patience. And slowly, that patience hardened into something dangerous. National titles started stacking up. World medals followed. Then, eventually, world championships. Not once, but again and again. By the time they hit their 30s, they weren't chasing the standard anymore. They were setting it. Still, even at the top, there was an absence that never fully disappeared. At the last Olympics, they won team gold, a dream for most skaters. But when the individual ice dance medals were handed out, their names weren't called. No personal Olympic podium, no defining Olympic moment that belonged only to them. For athletes this accomplished, that kind of miss doesn't scream, it hums. And during all of this, the partnership itself was changing. Years on the ice turned into a relationship off it. Teammates became life partners. Engagement, marriage, a shared life built around training blocks, competition stress, and constant travel. That alters everything. Because now, quitting isn't an individual decision. Neither is pushing forward. Every bad season hits twice. Every risk is shared. Every comeback has real stakes beyond result sheets. That is why their longevity isn't just physical. It's emotional. They learned how to argue productively, how to lose without letting it poison the partnership, how to win without letting it swallow their identity, how to separate performance from self-worth in a sport that tries very hard to fuse the two. That is not something you can choreograph. It is something you survive into. Which is why, when younger teams rose and fell, Chock and Bates were still there, still improving, still evolving, still refusing to calcify into a veteran act. So when you see them now, record holders, world champions, Olympic favorites, it is easy to assume this was always the plan. It was not. This career was not built on perfect timing. It was built on endurance. And endurance gives you something most athletes never get at the end of their careers: clarity. The freedom to ask one final question that really matters, not the question, can we still win? The real question is, how do we want to skate when it matters most? That is why this season feels different. They are not protecting what they have built. They are trusting it. And that trust is exactly what allowed them to take the kind of creative risk that most skaters are too afraid to touch when the Olympic clock starts ticking. What makes this season different isn't just that Madison Chock and Evan Bates changed their programs. It's how they changed them. This isn't a tweak. It is not a safer version of something familiar. It is a deliberate step away from the formula that already made them champions. Start with the rhythm dance. The rules forced everyone into the same decade, same musical era, same constraint. Most teams treated it like a puzzle to solve as efficiently as possible. Chock and Bates treated it like a stage. From the first beat of that 90s rock medley, the energy is confrontational. The posture is bigger. The movements are sharper. It does not feel like they are trying to fit into the rhythm dance box. It feels like they are expanding it. The swagger is not accidental. It is intentional. They are skating outward, toward the audience, not inward toward the judge's clipboard. That matters, because in ice dance, performance quality is often the difference between excellent and unbeatable. Then comes the free dance, the real statement. This is where you see the trust. Flamenco-inspired movement demands commitment. You can't half-sell it. Every edge has to be deep. Every upper body movement has to be precise, or it looks forced. Add in modern, atmospheric music cuts, and suddenly you're balancing tradition and experimentation at the same time. That's risky skating. Especially for a team in their mid-30s. The lifts are more off-axis. The positions stretch longer. The choreography asks for strength, flexibility, and control that younger teams usually rely on speed to compensate for. There are moments where the program almost dares the ice to push back. And that's the point. They're not chasing the field's strengths. They're leaning into their own. Years of musicality, years of connection, years of understanding exactly how far they can push without breaking. This program uses experience as an advantage, not a limitation. When they skated it at nationals, the reaction was immediate. The building didn't feel like it was watching a routine. It felt like it was watching a declaration. Judges didn't just reward the difficulty, they rewarded the confidence behind it. And that's what makes this evergreen. 6 months from now, a year from now, when someone clicks this video, the scores won't be the hook anymore. The feeling will be. Because this program isn't built around a trend or a rule set. It's built around a choice to skate like artists instead of accountants in the final stretch of a career. That choice only works if you believe in what you've built over 15 years together. If you trust your partnership enough to take creative risks when everyone expects caution. That's why this routine feels so different. It's not a farewell tour. It's a challenge. A reminder that even at the end, even with records already secured, Madison Chock and Evan Bates aren't interested in going quietly. They're skating like a team that wants their last chapter to be the one everyone remembers, not because it was safe, but because it was fearless. And that brings everything into focus. Because when Madison Chock and Evan Bates step onto the ice in an Olympic season like this, they're no longer skating towards something, they're skating from it. From years of near misses, from cycles where they were good but not chosen, from the quiet frustration of knowing you are one of the best teams in the world and still missing the one moment everyone remembers. That is what makes the lead up to the 2026 Winter Olympics feel different for them than it ever has before. They're not chasing validation anymore. They already have it. 7 national titles, multiple world championships, a career that, on paper, does not need one more line added to it. So the question changes. It stops being, can they win, and becomes, how do they want to be remembered? Most teams, when they reach this stage, start skating defensively. They protect their reputation. They protect their bodies. They protect what they've already built. Chock and Bates chose something harder. They chose expression over insurance. They chose programs that demand presence, not just precision. Programs that only work if both skaters are fully committed, fully exposed, fully willing to let the performance land however it lands. That's not an accident. It's a mindset shift. Because when you've been together this long, when you've already survived the hardest parts of the sport and of life together, the fear of losing starts to fade. And when that fear fades, something dangerous replaces it. Freedom. Freedom to skate big. Freedom to take risks. Freedom to trust that whatever happens, the partnership is strong enough to hold it. That's why this routine doesn't feel like a final act. It feels like a choice to stop skating like legends trying to protect a legacy, and start skating like artists who still believe they have something new to say. And that's what makes this story evergreen. 6 months from now, when someone clicks on this video, the records might not feel fresh anymore. The scores might blur together. The standings might change. But this moment will still matter. Because it captures something rare in sports, the moment when an athlete realizes that the most powerful move late in a career is not holding on tighter. It is letting go. When Madison Chock and Evan Bates take the ice in Italy, the outcome will matter. Medals always do. But the bigger legacy may already be set. They showed that even after 15 years, even after winning almost everything, you can still choose reinvention over comfort. And in a sport that constantly tells athletes when their story should end, that might be the boldest routine of all.